Hello everyone, I am Rahul Khinchi and I welcome you all to the seventh episode of our Open Source Cafe today. And we have Aniket Pal with us who got accepted into the IHR organization under the Google Summer of Code mentorship program. So Aniket, thanks a lot for joining our podcast and I hope this evening will ignite the open source spirit in the students. And basically the structure of the podcast will be that Aniket will tell us more about his organization and his journey and then some of the best practices to contribute and communicate with the organization and the mentors and his experience of getting selected into the Google Summer of Code and different open source programs. And at the end, we will have some Q&A sessions where you can ask your doubt and about the open source IHR organization or any relevant question, right? So yes, Aniket, would you like to tell us a little bit more about you and your organization?
Sure thing, Rahul. First of all, thanks a lot for inviting me. Means a lot. Talking about myself, I'm Aniket Pal. Currently, I am a final year student from NIT Rahul. I am not from a CS background, so my major is in electrical engineering, and I did couple of things like I have worked with more than 20 organizations as of now, and I have been a MLH fellow and GitHub extern, and as of now I'm working with Google Summer of Code as a maintain IHR, and also maintaining with Barclays. So talking about what IHR does, so first of all, IHR is Internet Health Report. So basically, IHR is a tool to monitor internet topology. So you can just think like that's like the railways of internet. It helps us to understand how each part of the world is connected to the internet and how this changes over time. So, like what we plan for, basically, IHR aims to be the open street map for internet. Our plans is to integrate more datasets in the IHR and make IHR more accessible to a broader audience with simpler visualization tools. So, just wanted to add on that IHR is not for any end user. It basically it's for people who are network operators and network moderators. It's like you are an ISP, like you are an internet service provider, then something you would be excited about. But if you are just someone who is just watching OTTs and everything, I don't think watching reports will be of much use to you. But ultimately, what we are building will be solving a huge set of problems which people are not actually solving. So that's IHF for me.
So basically, it's like you are from electrical background, so it connects with your organization, right? Like the service you told about the ISP things and different stuff. So is it like totally the it solves the coding thing, or is it like it is solving the real world problem based on the electrical or things like that?
It's not actually related to electrical anyways. So like I want just to tell you like how I found IHS. So maybe you can just get the idea on how it is related to me. So basically in my freshman year, I was very much interested in cybersecurity. So I just wanted to be an hacker. I just watches, like videos and movies from the Hollywood. And I was like, okay, so I want to be someone who is, hacking things and building things, sort of things. So before learning cybersecurity, it was very important. Like if you are also learning, it is important for you to learn about networking. Like networking is computer networks. So I was very much fascinated like how devices talk to each other simply. So if you talk about what IHR does, it is about advanced internet or computer networks you can think of. So it is like basically building the things. Okay, so do you want me to tell one example on how it is being used in a practical purpose, like IHR is being
Sure,
used? One
sure. Please
example.
go on. Right.
Okay. So suppose you are an ISP. You understand what an ISP is? Like internet service provider, right? Who is
Yes.
providing you services. So if an ISP wants to invest in India, right? Like they want to see like where they should invest. Or suppose you are XYZ company from Sweden, say. Now you want to say like where should I exactly invest so that I can gain the maximum profit, because if you are a company, you must be thinking about making money, right? So if with the help of IHR you can find what are the most important networks where you can invest, like the most ASs, autonomous system, basically we just say these words, so that you can understand where the relay and the packages throughs, so you can get that from there. So and like apart from this business perspective also, like a lot of things, for example, we are also solving and tackling recent problems, for example the Ukraine war, like Ukraine Russia war which is going on. So from that also we can see like Russia, like for Ukraine also, like IHR has documented transaction where Crimea was annexed by Russia. like Crimea is a city actually, and you can say just a location. We saw that before 2014, Crimea was connected to only Ukraine and through international ISPs. But after annexation, we see all those connections go through Russia. So that is like if you are talking from Ukraine, basically you can just on a very over layer, you can think like they can hear it, like sort of. So and as we know, like in the modern world, like the information is the source of war, or you can win information, like you can win war with the information, and we can track those things. So just basic examples, okay, like not exactly like those.
Right. So this was really new for me. Like I didn't know about that. Google Summer Code has this organization also. Like really, I am so fascinated. It was so fascinating to hear about your organization. So Aniket, we will be starting this from the basic thing. Like, how do you see the open source contributions, and what is open source like you back when you started? What did you hear about open source, and like what is today open source means to you?
Okay, so it started in a very interesting way. Actually, I wanted to build something very like a similar to, you can think of uh, uh, what do I say, a tool for watching videos. We can say think of like VLC Media Player. So I just wanted to know how VLC Media Player is made simply. I just wanted to know how it is done. And so in the first go, I have just seen like other like repository, and it was just the whole source code. And being a beginner in my freshman year, I was clueless, right? Like as anyone might be, because with this whole amount of billions, like millions of code, you are lost. So that's how I started my journey. I have started seeing line by line. Like I have seen the first commit which they did. So how big companies start the first commit, how they do the second commit. So for me, open source is a learning platform as well. Like maybe you can learn from courses, yeah, of course you learn from courses, but you get, like, well, and you move ahead and when you practice that. So when you are contributing to open source, it's open. Like if you are bad at it, like suppose you are writing bad code, you will revise it on your own and on your own, right? And vendors will help you out. But if you are building your own project, so you won't be getting like recommendations or suggestions from or reviews from your mentor. So maybe you're thinking that okay, I'm writing the most optimized code, but maybe it is not. But in open source, it is crystal clear. So if you're not writing the best code or the most optimized code as per their need, your PR won't be merged. Simply. So open source in that way is good. And moreover, suppose you are a fresher, right? And you think you have a lot of skills and you can just simply test that out. And if you want to apply for internships and everything, you need to wait and you need to prove that okay, I'm good. You need to give DSA rounds or stuff like that. But if it is for open source, you can just sit in the room at 9 p.m. at night and just contribute. So simply that's open source for me. So it's clear.
Right. So it's like if we are using a max function in our code. So basically, open source is something which help us to understand the internal working of how that function is working, like the backend process, and how we can optimize it more with less code. Right. Is it
Absolutely.
a basic naive answer would be that, right?
Yeah.
So, Aniket, can you please tell me that what was your experience with your first open source contribution? Like at the beginning, we generally get overwhelmed by seeing the large code base, and I also want you to like tell our viewers about the tech stack that IHR uses, and how did what tech stack did you choose, and like generally what was your first open source contribution?
Okay, in IHR or in general?
In general, like how did you started your
Okay.
first open source contribution?
Okay, so it was all like I guess as most of us, it started via Hacktoberfest. So it was Hacktoberfest. We all wanted the T-shirt, to be very honest, and we needed 4 PRs to be merged. And in the meanwhile, I initially it was like building or giving simple pull requests, which is not very complicated. It's just editing documents and everything, and I was happy going the way. After that, I was contributing to one particular project, and I got interested in that. So I contributed furthermore, and that's how the journey started. But to be very honest, when I got PRs, or you can say issues were assigned to me, which were not good first issues, I was having troubles in solving them. And I was very fascinated and like not fascinated exactly, I was overwhelmed with everything I was given. Like, a lot of things are on a single plate. So after merging that PR, it took me a lot of time, like I guess 2 to 3 months. And then I left open source for quite a long time because I thought, okay, this is not something for me. But after working with IHR, because if you are contributing to open source, at times, as per organizations, even the workflow period is a bit hectic. Might be it might take for you, like you just send the PR, it will take the first reviewer to review that after say 3 to 4 days. So the waiting time, it might make you like, okay, so I guess I did something wrong. People are not reviewing, and at max, like even sometimes the bots are like at times they misconfigure, right? Like they don't act the way they should act, and they throw up some errors. So maybe like although there is no error in the code, but they think like that way. So with total automation and the delay time, it becomes bit fussy for a beginner to get into it. But with time, when I started contributing further with maturity, I realized, okay, for good things you need to take time, because when you start out you have less patience. With time you develop that. After that it started smooth, so I just started contributing. And if you talk about IHR, so the first contribution which I did was a simple automation thing. Like as IHR is mostly of maintained by researchers who are researching in computer networks. So they're not much into automation tools, and they're not into great code maintenance. Like they maintain the documentation and everything very nicely. Like you can, if you're just a beginner, you can understand what IHR does. But if you talk about the GitHub documentation for a project, maybe it might be a bit difficult for you to initially get started. So that's how I started my coding journey. I just gave the first pull request was adding some generic workflows and automation. So that was how it started for me.
Right. So, in an open source organization, people from different countries are contributing. So we don't know the current time zone that they are working on. So yes, you said it that we have to wait for our PR to like get review. But yes, at the starting period, it feels like frustrating, or it feels like we have done something wrong. But with time, we understand that yes, everyone works on their free time because they already have their job. They are working it this thing for free, right? So that was great. And uh, talking about IHR, can you tell me the code base? Show me the code base of IHR and how a beginner can understand the code base. Because I believe that a beginner who sees the large code base, they that point only they think that no, this is not my cup of tea. So like, can you please show me the code base, the documentation which a student should use, the wiki page that we have in every open source organization, and everything that can make a beginner familiar with IHR organization.
Okay, so I would be just what do I say? Sharing the link of the documentation, like the first website. Basically, it's the IHR website. You can just start contributing with, because I would say if you are not that much into computer networks, which I would say only 0.5% of the people in the world, I guess, like the level they are researching, because they are researching for years and years, right? So even the basic terms, for example, I will just give my example itself. Like initially when I started learning about IHR, it took me 3 straight days, and I went totally clueless with the jargons they were using. The whole website, the whole thing was started with jargons. So if you start contributing in the backend, and if you don't know much about computer networks, I don't think that would be a great idea, because the principle which I follow to contribute is first make a simple contribution, understand the workflow, then contribute further. Because suppose you have made a significant contribution, see like every contribution is significant, but it might vary according to the code base or the amount of you are comfortable with the code base. So if you are not that comfortable, send a simple PR with which you are comfortable, and then build up more features or solve more bugs. So that is how I did. So if you want to start your coding journey with IHR, and if you're interested in front end, so start with IHR website. We have some created some simple documentation based issues which you can just check with the code first issue tags, and you can resolve that. I got a lot of like contributors who are pretty good, like who are contributing, and I really like their enthusiasm. Like so that is how it started. Like for example, like one guy Karan, he is contributing pretty nice. Like as he said, he's just I guess in the freshman year, and it's his first year of his college, and he's doing that pretty great. So I just like that. uh, and apart from that, like the code is pretty simple. It's nothing very fussy or something like that. So start with internet health report IHR website repository. Start your contributions, contact with me, get on board with us. We can help you further with the code base.
Right, Aniket. So, like you told that first we have to clear our fundamentals, like learning about computer network things and different things about networking and how this internet and HTTP things works. Then we can start contributing to IHR, right? So, like these are the fundamentals. And you told about front end thing that if you want to, if we are good, if you're like starting with front end part, then we can contribute to the website of IHR organization, right? So. Aniket, can you tell me that how did you make a connection with your mentors? Like, when we start contributing, the mentors and all other maintainers don't really look into our PR, because they like there are many students or professionals who are contributing to an open source organization. So they generally focus on quality PRs. But when we start contributing to open source, we have to like showcase our skills and our PRs to mentors. So like, what are your best practices to make a connection with the mentors, and how to actually ask a good question in public? Because like, we generally, what we do, we talk about that I'm from tier 3 college, and I'm like, I know these things and I want to contribute. So like, in your opinion, how to ask a good question in the community channels, and what are the best practices to communicate with mentors in the community?
Okay, so first thing, I don't know, like, how you define a question to be a good question, a bad question. Like, I guess every question is vital, but simply like, how are you, or like those things apart. But talking about how you should make the contribution, like, or how you should connect well with your mentor, like, I would say my approach. Maybe you like it, or maybe you not like it. The first thing, like when I started with the thought of IHR, my first thought was not getting into G-Shock. My first thought was getting to know my mentor and understand how internet works, because till now I'm very passionate about cybersecurity and computer networks. So I just wanted to understand from his end how he does, and I wanted to get further, because as you mentioned previously, as even HTTPS and everything, those are not even like the 1% of what computer networks they are dealing with, right? So the things which they're dealing is way, way, way ahead. Like, you can think like they in 10 years of their life to this only. So they're just way above those things. So initially I just wanted to make some contribution. So my first thought was not getting into the public channel, because IHR initially did not have the public Slack channel, and we are making it public. Previously it was just a private Slack with only the members of the organization. And I guess like I was the one of the first one to get out. I was outside and get the link sort of a thing, and it was just a mailing list. You should mail your mentor with everything you are thinking of, and just then he will contact you back. The first thought I had in my mind was a lot of students will be doing that, right? Because if you have the mailing list, you will be just writing, so hey, I'm this is this, I did this is this, I want to work in IHR as a G community, blah blah blah. So he will be getting a lot of mails. You should stand out unique. You should make something which makes him like, okay, I should read his email. So that's what I did. Like when I thought of doing a G-Shock, or when I thought of writing a proposal. So I solved initially 4 or 5 issues, and I just got like, I guess, 4 or 5 PRs merged. Then in one of the conversation with one of the issues, I just wrote, "Hey Roman, I want to work with this like IHR as a G-Shock mentee. Can you open some more issues for me? Because I want to learn the code base. Because that was also a genuine reason. I'm just a little bluffing as well. I just wanted to know more about the code base, make some significant contributions, what they were needed and what according to their priority. And when have seen that this guy has already merged 4 or 5 PRs, he is reliable, he wants to work further, and that way I got connected with him. But to be very honest, the kind of person Roman is very different. Like, he's the sweetest person I have met till date. He smiles very cutely, whatever it is. His smile is very infectious. Like, it will make the entire conversation very happening and very welcoming sort of. So I never have any thought, my second thought in my mind before texting him. Like initially, like even I went on a small vacation, I just texted him. Look, I say I'm going in this vacation. Just sent him the photo. So like this, the conversation went pretty smooth. So the best practice is simply that make some contributions, then ask your doubts, or maybe can talk about some initiatives which you are thinking. So like I had XYZ, because I have like before my G-Shock period, I was creating issues. I was maintaining because before the G-Shock period, I was the GitHub member of the organization. So just wanted to add on that as well. Like I had the complete access on the organization, like not in that way, but on the GitHub repository, I had access. So I was reviewing POIs, I was doing that. So like I was also talking to him. So so maybe we can open up this issue, maybe we can take up these things. So that is how the initial talk started. Then I emailed him, I guess I emailed him a 1500 like words email, and it was a huge mail. I just sat down and just wrote it for 1 to 2 hours and just sent him to that, and he just replied back with a meeting link. He just said like, okay, so let's meet and just talk more. And we met for the first time, and it's how it escalated.
Right. So open source doesn't mean that we only have to contribute. We also have to first make connection and We have to learn some communication skills so that we can connect and communicate our way of understanding to our mentors more precisely, right? So yes, you cleared it very well that how what are the best practices. So does IHR takes part in the Google Summer Code every year, and what are the different programs in which IHR take part?
Okay, so talking to that, IHR is you can say newborn baby. So this was the first year IHR took part in. The first website. Okay, so I also want to add on that, like how IHR started. Just 1 or 2 minutes. So basically, the very first IHR website started in 2017, and at that time it was only showing results from a couple of research papers, and they found out that these results are very useful to monitor a lot of different events. For example, internet outages, then hijacks or DDoS attacks. So the thing continued further, talking about if IHR takes part in other open source programs. So as of now, we are planning to take part in a couple of them, and there is something which is very unique about IHR, which I want to mention. The first thing is like it is a program which is headed by IIJ, which is basically IHR is a Japanese organization. Like before that, so they offer internship like IIJ. So you intern like in with IIJ, or you can support with IHR. You can work with IHR, and you get a stipend of 1.5 lakhs per month, and you get to stay in Tokyo. And if you are not able to get your accommodation, they will provide you accommodation. So that's a research thing which you can as well do, or coding as well. That works likewise. So or you can think like IHR provides a foreign internship opportunity as well.
Right. So like you told that IHR is a sub organization of IIJ, right?
Yeah,
So any person can contribute to IHA or IHR. Like if I'm talking about specific Google Summer of Code, then a student need to contribute to IHR or IIJ,
IHR.
like both. IHR,
No, no, no,
right?
no. IHR is like you can think of uh,
It is
like
like the
suppose there
root
is
repository.
not root repository. It's a company, and they have a
Okay,
subsegment who is into open source. Like you can think like that.
right.
They have multiple things which they're doing. One of the segment is IHR.
IHR, right. So, Aniket, how did you choose your proposal project? And after choosing a project, how do you decided to create a proposal?
Okay.
At the starting, we think that should we create it of 8 pages or 25 pages? Should we just write things and things, or should we just make it small but quality proposal? So, what are your take on that?
Okay, so on that I would like to say, like I did my GitHub extension, and GitHub extension followed the very similar pattern. Like you choose an organization, you contribute something, and then you make a proposal. So proposal, I thought initially, okay, so it won't be that hard because in GitHub extension I did with Nemo City, and I had Sudeep sir over there, and he was very kind. So he just said, okay, so whatever conversation we had, just take the screenshot and just attach that. It will be fine because I've seen how you work and it is fine. But I thought I will do the same thing with Jisha. But then I have seen like other proposals, and I was like, boom, like this not how something you just not attach the screenshots of the conversation you have. And I just read around 7 8 proposals which were available online. It was available in GitHub. Some of the people have just published their proposal how they have written, and it helped me a lot initially. And that's how I started making it actually. And I actually listed project ideas which they wanted to do. So because I guess this time most of the organization have done that, right? Like you just need to click on the view project ideas, and if you would have just seen the projects they are requiring you to do, like they want you to solve, right? So what I did was I am in a full-time shopper. So there are two options, like part-time and full-time, right? So I am in the 350 hours of the thing. So what I did was like I combined three project ideas and mashed them and gave the master proposal. So that's something with what I did. And before, to be very honest, because I had a talk with Roman sir before that, like what I should do and how should I write, and he just mentioned me, like I just didn't ask. See, like as a mentor he cannot be biased, right? He cannot tell me like, okay, write this and then you can get selected. He cannot be biased. So what he did was I just asked my question in a very reverse way. I just told him that, can you tell me the priorities of the project ideas which you want to be solved quickly? And he told me the priorities, and I wrote according to top three priorities what he needed at that point of time.
Right. So you mean that before creating a proposal, we should first talk with our mentors that what are the priorities of the project so that we can create according to that. Like in my
Absolutely.
organization, Right. Like in my organization, that is textile, it is important to contribute beforehand so that then only the maintainers will check your proposal. Like the prerequisite is to have some prior PRs merged in your organization. So, what is the ratio of your like your in your organization? Like in our organization, if you have a good quality contribution, then if you don't have a quality proposal, then it's okay for them. But if you don't have the quality contribution, then you must have very good and like explaining everything about the proposal, like what you want to do, like every step and every part of it. So like what how does your organization takes this, like what is the ratio of proposal and contribution in your organization?
Okay, I don't know much into that inside the numbers and all those things, but I would like to say mine. So before sending the proposal, I had my 10 PRs merged. So I had contributions done before. Then I sent him the proposal because, as I said before, because when I've sent him the proposal, I am sure that I'm talking to him. He knows me, and we are talking, right. So before sending the proposal, I had already made the connection that I know him and he knows me. And before the process of that, as I told you, make contributions, then talk to mentor. So first contribute, then make the proposal. So I guess that's the best combination, because might be you are a good developer, right, and you understand how it works and how you can build it, but maybe you are not that reliable. Maybe you just write the proposal and then you vanish, like after getting selected, like this may happen, right. So for the organization, it's mostly for IHR also, I guess they follow the same thing. Like if you have contributed before, they will select you, and if you have not contributed before, I don't think they will select you. But as this was the first time, I'm not sure of the ratio which they follow actually.
Right. So you told that you were also a GitHub extern. You were also into the GitHub externship program, and now you are Google Summer of Code student. So, like, can you tell me about what are the difference in these open source programs, and like what are the similarities like about this programs and any programs that you are into, like the open source programs?
Okay, it's a lot of questions. So firstly, I would say the differences. Uh, so firstly, I worked with Nemocity as a GitHub extern. So like that is the company I was working with. The major difference is Nemocity has its code base private, and IHR has its code base public. So that's the major differences. And Nemocity also had the thing, like if you're a good intern, they will offer you the full time role, or they can extend your internship. But IHR is a bit different. It's not the same way, right? Because you Google Summer of Code just for a period of time. Now the thing is, ki if I want, as now, like I cannot contribute to Nemocity because it is not open source, but I can contribute to IHR any time in my life, right? So that's the major differences. And University is a Bangalore-based startup, whereas IHR is a Japanese startup. So in IHR, I guess I'm the only Indian contributor. Rest them are not Indian, and in University, everyone was Indian because it was Bangalore-based startup. And those are the major differences. And similarity was the mentor. Both of the place were very nice. And yeah, the major difference which I missed was in GitHub, like Google Summer of Code. I have planned my own, like what I will do according to my timeline, and I have proposed them what I want to do. But in the GitHub externship, I was assigned task and I was doing that. But that was a major difference, right? In any internship, and if you think of that, but as it was a startup, so I had not faced the X difficulty, which I can mention later if you want to. Like the difficulty when you intern with a big company you face, which you don't face while you're interning with a small company. So I can mention that later. But as of now, the more concrete thing, or the things which are best for the similarities, was I got great mentors from both the organization who have helped me a lot. I've learned a lot from both of them, and the community was good. Like it is a closed-in community. Not everyone was jumping in. It is a closed-knit community, and we had healthy discussions. And I had coded in both of them, and I will be coding, I guess. So that's the thing.
Right. So, like now you have some good experience in open source and like collaborating with different developers and contributing to open source projects. So, like, can you tell me that why is it important to contribute to open source programs? Like, as a beginner, if I as a naive, if I know only one language, be it C++, Java, Python, anything. So why is it important for me to learn about these open source projects and like what are the skills which I learn other than coding? Like we know that communication, collaboration, and like teamwork, these are all the skills. So what? How do you see that things that how? Why is it important to contribute to open source projects?
It's okay. So first thing, I believe it might vary from person to person. Like I might consider contributing to open source very good, but my friend cannot consider it to be good. Like maybe, right? It varies. So I would not say it is very, very you should do it or else you will die. Sort of a thing. It's on your opinion. If you want to contribute, you can contribute. If you don't want to contribute, don't contribute. Simple thing. And now, if you ask me the best thing, like or what they should learn, is basically I have also like I got a lot of LinkedIn messages and I've answered them along the way. I just told them to follow three simple steps. First, learn about the organization. Just see like if what they are building interests you. Like maybe suppose you are someone who have worked with only JavaScript, TypeScript, Python, all those things, and the organization is building upon Java. So maybe you don't know Java, for example, but now you can just learn Java and try to contribute in a similar fashion. Like first choose it, the organization, see what they are building if that interests you. Secondly, talk to the mentor and see what projects they want you to work for, because everything won't be in Java, right? Because now the world is shifted toward microservices. So you might contribute to one particular microservice which may be written in say JavaScript or may be written in C++. So and after that, start learning and contributing. So that's something I would suggest to follow in the initial phase. So yeah, that's
Right, I can relate with you. Like when I started contributing to open source project, I only knew Java. So when I started contributing to Checkstyle, I found that Checkstyle is using JavaScript, Java, Antler, and other tools like DevOps tools it was using. So I thought that I have to learn all these things. But when I tried connecting with my mentors, they told that no, Java is enough as of now. But with time, you have to learn skills as of like depending on the issue, you have to learn those skills, right? So it is not like we should know everything, but we should actually know at least know one or two tech stack about that organization so that we can start contributing to open source projects, right? So you also told that not talking about the GitHub internship, I'm talking about the general internship that we have. So how do you see the open source programs and internship? Like what is the major difference between them, and like how do you see these internships and open source programs? Like what are the benefits of both of them, and uh, what what are the difference of internship and these mentorship programs, these open source programs?
okay. So like nothing negative on any of the sides, just my opinion. So first of all, if you're working in open source, you need not prove someone that you know a lot or you know this, so you can contribute, right? You can just go on the issue. You can just ask the issue to be assigned to you, and you can contribute. And there is nothing such as, for example, suppose there is an organization ABC. I want to contribute to one of their project. I should not learn everything they have, all their technicalities. I can just contribute to the thing which I like, I want to. But if you're working in a big organization, the things are very different. Firstly, the onboarding is not that easy because you need to follow or suppose connect to their intranet, right? Like their networks, and then you can just start your working there. Secondly, you won't be asked like maybe you are asked, but you need to work on the thing which your manager thinks you should work, like maybe the project and things which will be assigned to you. Maybe you are not that good in solving those issues or those features or those bugs, but when you just like that's something you were assigned and you need to do that. But maybe if you were assigned in something which is was different, you could have performed better, right? Like for example, as of now, if I'm interning with the XYZ company and I'm given Java or Spring Boot to learn and contribute, I might not contribute that much what another intern who knows that can contribute, right? So that way it should be contributed. But that's something I guess the major difference between internship and open source brings. And in open source, it's a free community, and you can suppose you don't like the community anymore or you just want to take a break. You can take a break. Like suppose you don't want to contribute say for just next 15 days because you have some other work, you need to go for vacation. But in internship you cannot do that because you are responsible to complete your task. So it's nothing bad on both sides. But again, the positives of internships are you get to learn in a very structured way. Like even if they tell you to learn Java and Spring Boot, but you will be given resources and all those things, right? Like what all you should learn at the first go, then how you should contribute. Like it will be like they will be holding your hands and stepping you to everything they want you to do. They would not just go on your own and do it. and even the review time is quicker because it's a company. They intend to make money, so the process cannot be very slow. They will be doing it quickly, and that's something I would say different. And most importantly, with internships, are you earn money. And with open source, I'm not saying you don't earn money, or like, because the first thought with open source is never earning money, right? But with internships, we earn money, and that is also important because after that you get a job. You get a job ready by internships, and like that. So simply the difference from my end.
Right, Aniket. So, like you are jumping into the your fourth year, right?
Yep.
In few times. So, what advice would you give to the younger Aniket? Like, what should be a good right mindset? Like, what if you won't get selected for Google Tomorrow Code this year? Then, what should be a right mindset about anything like about the open source and contribution and things like that?
Okay, so if something I needed to give to my younger self, it would be focus more on basics. Don't just jump. What so for example, I did a mistake of jumping to React very quickly without learning JavaScript properly. So I just reverted back the entire thing after like my fourth semester, and I started learning JavaScript at the very start. And I learned JavaScript, then I started learning React more. So make your basics strong and focus on DSA. Like initially, people just like it is very old stream or mainstream. You can say like, okay, everyone is doing DSA, everyone is doing DSA. It's not the thing. You should do it properly, because even if for you can think of JEE Mains, everyone had the same syllabus. It was NCRT, but then also the ranks varied according to the level of your preparation. So DSA is also, I think, in a very similar way. It's like that. You should do it properly, have your basics clear, and then move forward. So I would just suggest that to myself. And uh, secondly, chill out a bit. Like don't only work. You can also enjoy your life because you only get one. So
Right. So you told that yes, DSA is important, but generally we get some questions that is DSA required to contribute to open source? Like any general contribution, is DSA required, or is DSA important to like kickstart your open source journey? So like, is it really DSA required for every organization, or DSA is just a fundamental to learn to optimize our thinking to solve real world issues?
So, like, see, in what I believe is contributions can be anywhere in an open source organization. For example, as of now in IHR, we are looking for some UI UX designers to reframe or to rebuild some of our UX components. So, we don't need them to know DSA, right? And even if you're working in our documentation segment, you do not need DSA. But if you want to make significant code contributions, so DSA builds up your base. It's simply so DSA, I believe, is like salt. So if you put more salt in a food, it will not taste good, and if you put less salt in a food, it will not taste good. So optimal level of DSA, if you know the basics. Like I'm not saying you to like learn how to solve graphs with DPs, like into it the mesh of this. No, like simple DSA things with which you can just learn and just go with the flow. And once according to the need, when you understand, okay, so over here I need a binary tree, you learn that, and you just work on it, because no one is like doing it like do in 5 minutes or 10 minutes. You get some time, learn that, and that's the best part about open source. You are not time bound, so we have a lot of time. So
Right, Aniket. So you also told that other than this, you are doing internship, like you are generally doing internship at Barclays. So how do you manage your time? Like you are doing an internship and you are also doing mentorship program. So it's like quite hectic to like also you need to chill sometimes. So how do you manage all this time, and like how do you set your priorities that you should do this and this? Like like as a beginner, how should I manage my time, like learning different tech stack and contributing, like my college thing also, and doing this mentorship, open source contributions? So, what are your best practices to like manage your time?
okay, so those things, like I would just add on that. uh, Time management is an issue. I would not say it's easy, very easy. It's tough. But it with time you can build that on. Simply like for like as of now I'm working with Barclays as an intern. So my working time, I'm working with the US offices. So my working time starts with 11, and I it ends around, you can say, 7:30 types. So from 11 to 7:30 I'm devoting my time to Barclays, and like what all they tell me to learn and all those things, system setup and working on that, I during those period of time. The rest of the time, like because I try to wake up at 8, So from 8 to 11 I get time, so I have breakfast and all those things. Leaving those things apart, from 8 to 10 or 8 to 11 I get time for IHR. And after 7:30 thing, I take some 30 minutes or sort of break, and then I shift to the shop work. Along with I try to do DSA sometimes. And apart from that, the things which makes it more pressurizing on me is I'm not from CS, so I also need to do my electrical. So that's how it is. But one thing which I learned in MLH, which helped me a lot in time management, was uh, using calendar, like Google Calendar, properly. So what you can do is, like, just make slots for everything. Suppose you just wake up at 10 a.m. in the morning, make a slot from 8 to 10:30 just for DSA, and you get reminder 30 minutes before. So try to always solve things very quickly. Make time slots for 1 or 2 hours. If you are, suppose you are not into big programs, like for me, G-Shock and internship both are equal priority. I'm not saying this one is more important, this one is more important. Both are very important for me as of now. So, and as a, like, along with that, I'm also freelance content writer. I write technical blogs and something for companies. So those things apart, but that's how I always used to do before this two period started. I used to divide my time on 1 or 2 hour things, and I got 30 minutes reminder before that, and so I just prepared my mind. Okay, so like I'm doing operating system for say 2 hours. Now I got a mail, so I need to do electrical for 1 hour next. So that's something I learned from MLH. And what we used to do, like, just the day before, suppose it's around 8:40 as of now. At 12, like assume like you go to sleep. So at 12:05, you just start making schedule for your next day. So when you're sleepy, you make your schedule for the next day. With all those grievances, okay, so I didn't work that much. I need to work a lot tomorrow. So that's how you increase your efficiency day by day, day by day, and that's how it works.
Right. Aniket, do you believe in peer learning, like learning with your friends or focusing same thing with your friends? So, do you believe in that thing, or you just believe that I should learn it with myself so that I can learn more about things and I can like be independent while searching about anything? So, what are your takeaways on that?
Okay, on that I want to mention two things. Firstly, I believe if Abhas was like one of my friend, if he was not there, G-Shock was a dream for me. I could have never done that. He helped me a lot. So, and apart from that, Sumana Basu, like, she's sort of my best friend you can think of. And if she was not there, don't think I will ever started coding. Like, she was the reason I started coding. So for me, peer learning is was very important. Like, except for my peers, and like not only two of them, but apart from them, a lot of people also helped me in the process. But if they were not there, it was not possible for me, because it's not, like, you are sad with the bugs not getting resolved. At times you break down because of rejections, because it's not the time. Like, people might think, like, because of, if you they say like, okay, I open a LinkedIn, you have aced so many things, but no, I have like failed in way more things which you even don't know. But like, I have planned, like, after I get a job, I will make a LinkedIn post of all those things I failed in. So maybe that works. So because it has been a lot of failures, like, so for them, like, handling those parts, you need someone to rely on. And on technical side, okay, like, maybe I can understand. For example, suppose you have an interview tomorrow, and you are giving a first interview, you need mock interviews, right? Because maybe you're very good at technical, but how you should speak to your interviewer, or how you should exactly say, and what exactly should you say, you need someone to talk to. So that's how peer learning is very important for me.
Right. So huge shout out to your friends for helping. Like even I know the importance of peer learning because like I don't have any friend in my college whom I am doing peer learning, but I have a friend Vyom Yadav who also got accepted in the Texel organization. I met him through Texel organization, and then we start talking and like how can we like discuss. We used to discuss on particular issue. How can we get started? So yes, I also believe that peer learning is very important when we are like learning about something. Yes. So let's take some questions so that we can take and after questions we can like continue our conversation. So here are our friends. Hi, sir, and IHR. So someone is asking what is IHR. So like it is
Okay,
an open source
so
organization, and furthermore, the you can tell about some little stuff about IHR because you already told. So I believe that Shubham, you need to work hard. You need to go to the starting of the session, and you need to see uh, how clearly explained by Ankit. But Ankit can tell it. Sorry, I'm really sorry.
Aniket.
Aniket can tell it in small.
Yeah, it's basically simple. tool. Like IHR is basically stands for Internet Health Report, and it's a simple tool with which we can analyze internet simply.
Right. So Yash Martin is telling he good to know about this podcast on LinkedIn. So like, how do you see LinkedIn, Twitter, and this stuff? Like, are they for me? It is very important to personal brand myself because not just being like I come from a college where it is very hard for getting opportunities. So LinkedIn is a great place for me to showcase my thing because there are people who understand what I'm doing. So, like, how do you see this LinkedIn and Twitter thing and other developer apps or tools? How do you see them? Like, do they really are they really helpful in your case?
Okay, so firstly, I am only using LinkedIn and Twitter as of now, and I have met you via LinkedIn only, so it is useful. And apart from that, like as you said, like people, like have you should have a same mindset to understand what you are saying. Because suppose I am posting about like how much I like or how much I am happy to share about my G-Shock thing or I got accepted. People, if I just post that on say Instagram, they won't be that much, getting it. Like okay, what I'm doing exactly. So LinkedIn makes that platform, even Twitter. Like initially, I was very reluctant. Like in my first and second year, I used to think like these are boasting, like how you should, you should not boast around that. Okay, you have got selected and all these things. But later, I just understood. Okay, so maybe if I am into G-Shock and now suppose your program, like the Decode Cafe for 12 days, you are bringing 12 different G-Shockers. This would help more people, right? If they want to know or they just want to start your open source journey, maybe someone someday gets a little bit of tips which he required or she required that point of moment, these things would be happening and people will be knowing about those things from platforms like Twitter and LinkedIn, I guess. And you also, like apart from that, you get to meet like a lot of great people like out there who are very helpful, like, so that's how it works.
Right. Like other than YouTube and Twitter things, we can connect to people who have already done or got accepted into that program. So like you are into MLS, so I can ask things about how to get started with MLS and different stuff. Right. So the next question is from Yash. He's from CS. He's a CS student. He want to achieve what Aniket have till final year and really a great ideal that one could have. So that is true.
Thanks a lot.
Yes. Another question: how much knowledge we should have about the language to start with open source? Like talking about the general any language, what is the required level?
Okay, okay, one thing, like if you're just starting out with open source, if you don't know any language, and if you just want to start your coding journey, to be very honest, so if you're in your first year or something, personally, I would suggest you to learn Java. Do Java with, like do your DSA with Java, like make a good hold in DSA, then jump into open source. And how much knowledge? Like there is nothing as such like level of knowledge, but as I mentioned before, like make a simple contribution. Suppose you open, like okay, so I just want to give a little trick which maybe a lot of people just forget in the process. It's like if you want to contribute very eagerly, okay, you just want to see how a PR is merged and you want to see how a workflow is done. So just open the, like what do I say, like the documentation in Grammarly. In Grammarly there will be some grammatical error surely because people are not that much into documentation. So you must be getting some, like maybe a to the, like some simple documentation, maybe you can just send the PR to check that out. So there is no such level barrier which should keep in your mind too before starting to contribute. So that's something.
Right. So again, your fans truly inspiring session. First of all, kudos for that. So the next question is: any suggestion for first year students?
Okay. So as I said, like start learning Java. Like personally, I would believe I did never did Java. Okay, I did C++. I never did Java, but I believe do Java because Java not only helps you, like okay. So if you're into fintech, right? Like fintech is companies like for example Barclays, Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, Wells Fargo, a lot those. So fintech, even a lot of e-commerce platforms, they need you to learn Java because people are using Spring Boot in production. And so if you know Java, you have a lot of, like C++ and Java, what I feel are lower level languages, like not lower level in that assembly language, but a bit lower, which you can just understand properly how things are breaking down, right? So, and if you suppose you are working with Python, everything is module. So you will not be getting the proper way of how the function is being implemented, right? So for that, learn something which is as low as Java or C++. Then start exploring. First of all, like if you're in a first year, I'm not sure if you are interested in coding or not. First explore that. Maybe you are the next big actor, or maybe you're the next great singer. So explore, and if you are into coding, then just do DSA, then start exploring. If you like for competitive coding, go for competitive coding, and if you don't like competitive coding, you can start checking out open source organizations and open source projects and all those things. uh, okay, I guess, Rahul, like, you're muted.
Oh, sorry.
You're muted.
Like Anish is asking that what are the other platforms or programs other than GSOC?
Okay, I made a list on that and I will read it out. Okay, so firstly, open source program, sort of, I made a list. You can just, if you want, I can just share that, sort of, but can do that later. So firstly, it is Google Summer of Code. Okay, you said apart from that. Second is Summer of Nix. Then is Emirates Fellowship. Then there is an reinforcement learning open source faced by Microsoft. Then it's LFX program. Then it is Outreach. Then it's Summer of Bitcoin. Then it's Summer of Dogs. Then it's 24 pull request. Then it's Force Asia internship program. Then it is Quantsite internship. And another thing, like, you might be interested if you're into DevOps, that is Kubernetes release teams, like Kubernetes release shadow teams. So yeah, those are the three programs. I listed some of them. I was thinking of doing it a LinkedIn post, but yeah, here you go.
So Anish, now you got to know. Now it's just your hard work, and you just need to
Yeah,
kickstart with your open source journey.
yeah. Or
Aniket has
maybe you can
started.
just catch me up on LinkedIn. I will be posting it soon. So
Right.
let
We have all like platforms. Like we have Aniket's LinkedIn, Twitter, and GitHub. So please check out the description so you can connect with Aniket and ask your further doubts. Right. So the continuing question of Anish that he's learning DSA and currently solving on LeetCode. Is learning DSA and contribution simultaneously possible? And what like he's just asking about the time management, like learning DSA and open source.
Okay, okay. See, I am also still learning DSA. I'm not that great. Okay, I'm trying to learn that. So yes, you can surely learn DSA. You can try your hands on CP, because I have seen a lot of 5-star, 6-star coders into G-Shock. So you can do two things, right? So it is not simply you can do one thing. It's totally on your time management skills and on your interests. So that how it is. So you can do it.
So, like, Yash Mahajan is planning to do a course you have on Coursera. Oh, do you have a course on Coursera?
No, no. He's
I don't
saying in
like.
general we have course in Coursera.
Okay, what do you
Okay.
think? Does it worth doing?
So yeah, like I would say, like in my opinion, it is important. Like you learn from places like Coursera, but as of now, like till my journey, I have not seen the importance of certifications which people do. Like a certification, like if you're a Red Hat certified certificate, like those things are important. Like AWS certified, those things are important. But in general, like if you've completed the course, like you have done Python from XYZ university, I don't think so. Like anyone till date have asked me to show me those certificates. So don't pay for the certificate. If you're learning for free, you can do that, because as of now, I have never paid for the thing I'm earning. Sorry, like I have never paid for the things which I'm doing and while I'm earning, which I've also made a LinkedIn post on that. Like education is free, but like degree is not. So don't focus on certifications. You can do it for free. You can learn for free, and there are multiple things which you can do from YouTube itself. Like so, you can do that.
Right. So yes, like this Udemy and Coursera, they have very less amount of less amount of things. Like they have a they are the great platform for learning. But we should not focus on the certificate that Udemy and Coursera gives. But we should focus on the learning. And just like you said that yes, certifications are important, but only which have some value like this Red Hat or any Azure certification or any cloud certification or things like that, we generally have some value. So that certification can also get you a job. But this Udemy and Coursera certificate won't help you that much because that doesn't prove that yes, you have a better understanding of that particular tech stack. Instead of that, we should focus on like making projects after learning so that we can showcase that projects on our resume and things like where we are applying, right? So yes,
Yeah.
I believe there are no further questions. People are looking forward to connect with you. Please make sure to check the description. I generally say that please check the PR description because this open source thing has like connected me with PR description, pull request. So please check the YouTube description for connecting with Aniket. So I believe that was it. that was pretty much about the podcast. And thanks a lot, Aniket, for joining. I really appreciate it. It was a pleasure talking to you this evening, and hopefully we will see you again on this channel, maybe discussing some of your other journey. Like you have a lot of things on your pocket, in your pocket. So yes, you all can reach out to Aniket on on his socials, and I would at the end I would like to tell you all about this open source cafe, the 12-day workshop that we are doing. So we are like calling 12 to 15 GSockers who got selected into the Google Summer of Code this time, so that we can call them and share their they can share their experience about how they uh, kickstarted their open source learning in that particular organization. Like we generally have these open source videos on YouTube, but to understand about the particular organization, I believe this podcast will really help beginners to understand more about the journey and the organization. So yes, thanks Aniket for joining. And
Okay, I
uh,
guess there is one question left. We should answer that.
right. So does
Yeah.
college CGPA matter during your journey?
Okay. As of now, it did not matter because I maintained the CGPA about 7.5. But trust me, it matters a lot because from now I don't know like my next 5 years. Suppose if I want to do an MBA, I need to have a good CGPA in my bachelor's. So never lose on that. Focus on getting good CGPA because it is very vital. Initially, people are very confused, like, okay, I don't know how to get a great CGPA and something, but okay, I would say work on it. It is better if you have a recent CGPA for getting jobs and a good CGPA for your higher studies. But CGPA matters, but as of now, it did not matter to me because I don't know, like, I don't want to as of now to do further studies as of now. So, but you should do it because, but in the thing is, if I fail or if I do something, mess up in my fourth year, I'm pretty sure that I would end up without getting a job. So that's the thing. So CGPA is very vital. By the
Right.
way, yes,
And
yeah,
yes, yes, continue, please.
yeah. I was saying thank you, Rahul, for bringing me into the show. Maybe we
Right.
can connect further, have more chats, and likewise.
Right. So thank you everyone for joining. And with this, signing off, Rahul Khinchi, DeCodeCafe. Bye.
Bye.